So it is day 14 in a third world prison. So it's Saturday, the weekend has started, and it's pretty uneventful on the weekends. We're on lockdown, so we're only allowed to leave our cell twice a day, and that is to shower. So we shower around 7 a.m., have breakfast, and then are in our cell all day. I typically, I had like a little list of books. I always kept about 3 or 4 books with me, and I at the time was reading two fiction books, nonfiction books. One about communism, the second one about American history, and the third one was a fiction book, really good. It was based on a white Christian family that lived in East Harlem in the 1950s. And this was a time when East Harlem was predominantly Black and Latino. And the book is called Flying Over 96th Street. It was a really good book. I highly recommend it. Flying Over 96th Street. Well written. And I also journaled, did a lot of journaling and reflecting. So I'd like to share some excerpts. I wonder how Makita is doing. In the past, she will fall into these crying fits that just go on and on and on. All I can do is hold her, rock her, and keep her from flinging her arms and legs. Sometimes I have to actually cover her mouth to keep her from screaming from the top of her lungs. And then I'll let her go when she stops screaming, and I just hold her longer and just rock her some more. My daughter didn't ask to be brought here. I didn't take seriously my ex's red flags. I assumed I could manage his own episodes. I thought I could leave whenever, that I was going to be okay. A mentor of mine had actually warned me in the beginning, quote, "He sounds controlling," close the quote. He also said, quote, "I think of you as a daughter, as a father figure. I advise you not to move into his apartment in New York. It's his place. He can force you into something you don't want," close quote. I withheld a lot of information from my mentor, the assaults, yet the little I told him, he saw through the warning signs. But I was burnt out from my corporate job. I was afraid to be alone with the physical mental issues that I was living with. A specialist had just told me I had early warning signs of lupus. I was estranged from my family. The pandemic of 2019 isolated me from my friends and my colleagues. I was afraid of losing my money and not being able to care for myself. I had no family to turn to. Both my parents financially struggled, and at that moment in time, we just weren't getting along. I didn't understand what and who my ex was. I had never had a narcissist in my inner circle. I didn't understand the warning signs of a sociopath. I instinctively didn't open up to him for an entire year. I didn't want to be in a relationship with him, to be honest. From our first date, I declared, "We aren't compatible," but he was persistent. He put so much energy towards staying in touch with me, giving me thoughtful gifts based on what he learned about me, and he was constantly grilling me with questions about myself. I like to talk, and I naively freely talked about myself and would try to reciprocate his questions. But at times during the first few months, I noticed that even when I half joked about the concern around the direction of the conversations, I would say, "Hey, you sound like you're a lawyer in a courtroom. Chill out, dude." But he wouldn't let up. And I was half unconcerned and I felt in control of the situation. But the other half of me felt a little overwhelmed by him, how dominating he was. I didn't have the energy to fight him, to defend myself against him. I just wasn't myself at that time. I was depressed. I was burnt out. I had just turned 38 years old. And it was a hard pill to swallow, recognizing that I still hadn't met anyone at 38. And the idea of never getting married weighed heavy on my mind. I was living and working in a city that was not my forever home, but the career opportunities were easier to access compared to bigger cities like New York, Chicago, or LA. So I felt stuck where I was, working to build a career that was fulfilling, that would allow me to provide for my basic needs and allow me to build a savings and retirement and pay off my loans. I planned to build a career and network that would give me career opportunities in a more diverse, less cold city. I had my sights set on California or another city out west. I had a vision in 2016 that one day I would move west, but I also had a feeling I was going to have to leave all my material possessions behind. The idea of leaving all my clothes, books, etc. behind seemed impossible. And when I had that vision, I thought out loud, not yet. I'm not ready to leave everything. Ironically, that day did come, January 2023, while I was 7 months pregnant and determined to break away from my abuser. Please, God, protect my daughter. Protect her innocence. Keep her spirit light and forgiving. I want her to thrive. Please don't let any of these hardships haunt her. Let her flourish, Lord. With the level of corruption I'm living through, I don't see how I can safely raise my daughter. I'm afraid I may have lost her. I stayed with my ex because I knew that my time was limited to have a baby, and I desperately wanted to believe his lies. He used to say, I know what I did was wrong. He used to say, I don't want to hurt you. I'll help you. I know I need counseling. And then he'd say, I love you. But none of it was true. But I desperately held on. I really thought that he would get better, that someone in his family would keep him in line, that someone would protect me. But it never happened. During my pregnancy, the reality of what my ex was took shape. How toxic his family is. I think they're all narcissists. They don't hold each other accountable because they each enable their issues, their weaknesses. 2 times, my ex's parents acknowledged they knew Izzy had issues, but they waited until I was pregnant and crying, asking for help. Or worse, in a domestic violence shelter. Both times they tried to coach me to live with my ex, despite the abuse and all that they knew about him. They would say, you just have to learn how to be more quiet. We will protect you from him, don't worry. But then when I refused, they blatantly started threatening me. Forget you. This is corrupt. This sucks. My main goal has always to protect my innocent baby, to protect myself. And now, 2 years after leaving everything behind and going west to protect myself and my baby, I'm in prison. My daughter is alone without me. She's surrounded by people that don't truly care about us.